Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about how to do two-step equations. Now, two-step equations aren't that much harder than doing one-step equations. The main thing that you have to keep in mind is going in the right order. The same basics still apply. We still want to get our x by itself, and we want to move everything else that isn't x over to the other side. The thing that student tends to trip students up the most is what is the order that we move things along. So a lot of students tend to try to rush ahead by moving over the x by maybe trying to do something like -2 or something like that, or going ahead and dividing the 2 from the x in order to get the x by itself, but that's rushing ahead a little bit. Now, by this time, you should be familiar with your order of operations. You should know that parentheses typically come first, and then exponents, then your multiplication and division, and then your addition and subtraction. But when we're doing equations, particularly two-step equations or the harder, multi-step equations, we tend to kind of go in the reverse order. We start with our addition and subtraction and move backwards when we're trying to move a number from one side of the equation to the other side. Now, in the last video, I talked about how equations are basically like scales, where on one side we have our 2x plus 4, and on the other side we have our 16. Now, at all times, again, we want to make sure that our scale remains balanced at all times. So whenever we want to move something from one end of the scale to the other side of the scale, we want to make sure that we're doing the same action on both sides. That way our scale doesn't tip over. Because an equation has the word equal in it, so we want things to remain equal at all times. So the way we go about moving something from one side of the equation to the other is by doing the opposite operation. And so when you're tackling equations, you always want to deal with the variable that you're trying to solve for absolutely last. That typically comes last in everything. So we want to go ahead and get rid of the 4 first. So like I said before, we want to do the opposite operation. And the opposite operation of addition is subtraction. So we're going to go ahead and subtract 4 on both sides. And what that does is that cancels out our 4 on the left-hand side. And that's going to leave us with 2x equals 12. Now, this is the point of moving something from one side to the other. We always want to try to cancel out something on one end so that we can move it over to the other end. This is the reason why we don't do plus 4, because if we did plus 4, then that's just going to leave us with a 2x plus 8 on this side and then a 20 on this side. It doesn't really help us get closer to our goal of solving for x. So we always want to do the opposite operation. So now coming back to our 2x, so now we have 2x equals 12, and we want to get that x by itself. So the next thing we do is the opposite operation of the 2x. So 2x is multiplication, because remember, it stands for 2 times x. So the opposite of that is division. We divide both sides by 2, and that's going to give us 1x on our left-hand side and 6 on our right-hand side. Again, we can just write that as x equals 6. That's our final answer. So that's it. It's a quick and easy way of how you go and approach doing two-step equations. If you're looking for more information, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow our blog and other channels if you want to get more tips on how to do these types of problems and much more.